Hey guys, this is Red and Blue, your channel on YouTube for all things PSG in English. Please subscribe to the channel. Today, sadly, we're here to talk about a defeat. We lost against Bayern Munich at home in the Parc des Princes in the Champions League, 2-1. And I'll just go straight into it because for me, more than the defeat, this is really what's bothering me and annoying me. Heartbreak for Hakimi, who went out on injury after a horrible tackle from Luis Diaz at the 46th, 47th minute, at the end of the first half. We don't know yet what's going on and how bad it is. It looks like some ligament issue in the ankle. The early whispers that are coming out of PSG say it might not be as bad as feared, and it might be looking like 3 to 5 weeks. But the reality, I was researching a little bit just so I can try to give you a sense of what's going on. The reality is that if it's a pulled ligament, yes, probably 3 to 5 weeks, and it come back, early December in time to get to the African Cup of Nations at the end of December, which is a big one for Morocco. And that's why it's heartbreaking, because if he misses the African Cup of Nations at home in Morocco, and it's a big tournament for them, it's so sad. So if it's a pulled ligament, yes, there's hope, and he might be back in time, and it's only a matter of a big month before he comes back. If it's snapped, torn ligament, then it's a much bigger problem, and we're looking at 2 to 3 months. And the reality is that a torn ligament, you're gonna get a sense by doing the examination straight on the player, the physical examination, whether he heard a pop and there was a popping sensation, how bad it swells and bruises, whether he can put any sort of pressure on it. But the reality is that you're not going to be sure of the diagnosis before you do an X-ray or an MRI. And at this point, a few hours after the game, I seriously doubt that that would have taken place already. I assume typically you let the swelling reduces anyway, and so it happens the day after. And so, what we're hearing is that there's hope and that it might not be torn, but I'm having a hard time seeing how we can be 100% certain at this point. In any case, I'm not a doctor. I don't have the direct line to the PSG doctors or anything. So this is just me speculating, which I really shouldn't do. But I guess we'll hear more in the coming days, and we'll know if it's, as bad as it looks. Because ultimately, the guy was crying on the pitch, and he got out being carried by the doctor and by his teammate, and couldn't put his foot on the floor. So yeah, it looked really bad. And just it's so sad, because he's a player who's so strong physically, who always is always there. He's been working really crazy, and really contributing so much to the team. And see him it really looked like in his head he knew that he was missing the African Cup of Nations. I really hope that's not the case for our Moroccan friends, but it looked really bad. I think that's why he was crying and so on. It's just it's the kind of injury you really don't want. And I'm just gonna say it as well, but the kind of challenge from Luis Diaz, who completely, utterly, and without a shadow of a doubt in my mind, deserves a red card. He comes at him from behind with the 2 feet, jumping on his ankle, and he's not even getting anywhere close to the ball, because ultimately, Hakimi is driving the ball forward. So there's the ball, Hakimi's right foot that's forward in his stride and pushing the ball, and then his left foot is backward, and Luis Diaz jumps and barely gets and jumps on his left foot, which is at the back and not even on the side of the ball from him. So it's not even he's not getting anywhere close. He's not even trying to get to the ball. It's just I don't want to say he's trying to hurt him because I can't believe that it would be true. And like, I don't want to, I don't think for a moment like any conspiracy theories or anything like this. I think it's just like unfortunate, but like really it's a horrible challenge that has no place in a football pitch. And a player of the experience and of the skill of Luis Diaz, he should know better. He should know better. He shouldn't make that challenge. Maybe, it's the end of the first half and he's running on a high because he scored 2 goals and he's the hero of the match so far. But yeah, it's not a challenge that he should be making. And yeah, he should hope that like in the end it's not too bad for Hakimi. And at the same time, like heartbreak for Hakimi, it's not even the only one because earlier on in that game we had also lost Dembele, who came out at the 25th minute, and he looked like he was still struggling with some pain. Luis Enrique said that it was a different thing from his previous injury. It didn't look as bad, obviously, because he came out like we didn't see a major challenge or anything like this that would have injured him straight away. He came out like walking and running and like didn't look like in particularly good shape throughout the game. I think like Dembele's contribution in the 25 minutes he was on the pitch wasn't that great anyway. But yeah, it's concerning because Dembele, like we're now on a trend of like injury after injury after injury, and yeah, that's not what we want to see. We want to get the Ballon d'Or back. And now talking about the game as well, because like yeah, in the end, I think like Bayern really like dominated the first half, no questions about that. But I think ultimately it came down to like some small details, and I think we'll talk about the Marquinhos of it all and the defense of it all, but I think at the core of it is really like still question marks around our fitness and physicality. And so that's why like that's the tie-in with Dembele, like a player like Dembele who can't seem to get back from injury. That really says something about like the kind of conditions our players are in. Player like Barcola, who's played I think like 75 games since the beginning of last season. He said it as well. He said like we're tired and we're trying to do the best of it, but we're not at the best. And so there is a real question, and I think on this game, yeah, you see it very sharply. Like honestly, like Bayern Munich were just in better condition and in better form and in better fitness levels. They were like working harder. They were tougher in the challenges. And so in a number of occasions, you see that it makes a difference. It's not the only details as well. And I think, candidly, like our defense, our whole defensive line had a horrible first half, with really like mistakes from Nuno Mendes, from Marquinhos on the second goal. Nuno Mendes on the first goal gives away the ball cheaply, and we never managed to get back from it. Marquinhos on the second one takes as much time to clear the ball as like Manuel Neuer takes to clear a free kick or like just. He's not looking. I mean, he's looking, but doesn't realize that Luis Diaz is coming onto him that quickly. Loses the ball to Luis Diaz, who then like only has to beat Chevalier one-on-one. Big mistake from Marquinhos, and not something that we usually see from him as well. So that's where it's also like a little bit heartbreaking. And even Hakimi, as a couple of times, like passes the ball back to a Bayern Munich player, doesn't make the clearance when he needs to. So like this. Errors all over. Even like Pacho might be like the best of the four, but even him was like not spotless either. And so I think it's a reminder that in a game like this at this level, yes, you cannot afford to make even a tiny mistake. And ultimately, like it's funny because Chevalier, who a lot of people, myself included, were looking at ahead of this game as a potential question mark. In the end, he has a pretty clean game. There's a couple of places where he's a little bit like maybe like not making the best decision and so on. But on the first goal, like he saves the first attempt by I think Narby, and then the ball comes back on Luis Diaz, and like he can only do this much at this point. The second one is 1-on-1, but apart from this, like there's one like corner kick for Bayern where he goes out and kind of like jumps into Marquinhos and so on, and like it's a little bit muddled. But ultimately, Bayern Munich is nowhere close to that ball anyway. And apart from this, like pretty clean game, pretty good from him. So yeah, it is what it is. And then on the other side, like looking at the defense, you look at Upamecano, who has an amazing game for Bayern, and in the second half, he's just like such a dominating presence in the area. Yeah, it's a game of details, and at this level, like those little defensive mistakes, they count for a lot. And at the same time, like yeah, we have to talk about Grandpa Neuer, who's like, clearly a master of the dark arts as well, who spent all of his second half getting booed by the Parc des Princes for taking like 3 minutes every time he had to make a clearance. Took a yellow card at the 48th minute for trying to gain time, which is insane in my mind. But in the end, he makes the saves that he needs to make, always well positioned on long range shots from Vitinha. He makes an incredible save on an opportunity by Warren around the 80th minute, and essentially like saves the win for Bayern Munich, because I think like as much as Bayern dominated in the first half, and we go into halftime 2-0 down. It's not like illogical, and it's pretty well deserved for Bayern. We come within a whisker of coming back through Dembele just because before he goes out, and he's offside by like literally this much. Too bad. 1-1. What would have happened? Maybe the game would have been different. But anyway, like yeah, we come down at halftime 2-0, and it's a measure of what happened in the first half. But the second half, we're 11 against 10, and we really dominate this. Joao Neves scored a goal around the 75th minute, which really puts us back in the game. And we do have some opportunities at the end of the game to tie it and make it 2-2, like we predicted with the Bayern view as well, like we were expecting. But yeah, it comes close, but not quite. And so we take the loss. A lot of things to learn, and I think for me, like also a few reasons to hope. I put in Joao Neves because I think like he scores a great goal, so it's great to see. But I think like beyond Joao Neves, like we also see Fabian Ruiz playing 60 minutes, and so I think it's great to see that our midfield three are back online. From the injuries that they sustained earlier, because we've been pointing the finger at our attackers for not scoring enough and not being clinical enough, and like just not doing enough up front. But I think like the difference that it makes to have our midfield in place cannot be understated. And I think it makes a huge difference when you have a player like Joao Neves entirely fit and ready to contribute. Even if Warren has done really well recently, a player like Fabian Ruiz as well, like it's really hard to replace him. So great to see that, and I think it's gonna give us a boost in the coming games. And I think candidly, like other reasons to hope, like I think we take the defeat, but I don't think it was like that wide of a difference. Even if I think of the first half, like ultimately, like we do have some chances, like we come close to scoring from Dembele. I think Barcola has a couple of runs at the back of the defense as well. It's funny because I remember saying in the preview that I did that like we might try to beat the press by going just like route A, like straight towards their goal and like long ball forwards, either like between midfield and defense or like even at the back of the defense. And it feels like that's exactly what happened in the first half. And sure, like some of it doesn't really like work as well as patiently moving the ball forward. But at the same time, like if this goal from Dembele is not offside, like if Barcola is a bit more clinical on one of his opportunities, what happens to the game then? Like, or like if Marquinhos doesn't make a stupid mistake that we haven't seen him make in 5 years, like what happens then? So it's not, we were presenting this Bayern Munich team as like this uber dominant team right now and like the best team of Europe. Yeah, sure, like they beat us fair and square, completely deserved and so on. But at the same time, like yeah, given our physical condition, given where we are, given the injured, and I know they had a couple as well. Yeah, we're not too bad. You know, this we'll see in the second half of the season where things really stand. So yeah, like, you know, ultimately, like, a couple of tops and flops as well in terms of our players. Hakimi and Lee did really well. I thought like Kvara in places was really inspired as well. We didn't see Warren as well did very well. I was thinking in my head as well. Warren, I thought, did really well. He has a couple of like really important challenges. He makes run into the area, the good opportunities towards the end of the game. I really appreciated this game. In terms of players who don't perform as much, I don't think it's entirely their fault, but I thought like Nuno Mendes, Vitinha, and Hakimi were very brilliantly handled by Bayern Munich. I think the tactical plans that they had in place in the first half really blocked those three players from having the usual impact that they have in the game, and it made things very, very difficult for us in the first half. And I think there's a lot of it that, you know, Luis Enrique will have to look back at and really look at how we can find solutions for it. Because yeah, those three players just didn't contribute as much. I think Vitinha was a lot better in the second half, where he had more space and more opportunities to run the game and dictate the tempo of it all. He has a couple of long shots as well, which are really good. But yeah, in the first half, there's question mark. Same for Nuno, actually was better in the second half. And then defensively, I mean, we talked about it. Like Marquinhos was very, very questionable in places. Yeah, like Pacho as well in a few places was difficult, but not as bad. I thought Chevalier was okay. Hakimi and Lee had a very, very good entrance. He replaced Dembele on the 25th, so he played most of the game, really. And I think in the second half, really, like, his left foot is really, really high quality when he gets it going. Some of his crosses, some of his passes, even like a shot that comes pretty close to scoring. Yeah, he's really got a technical quality that's not to be understated. Anyway, this is what I had for you guys on this one. Dark Knight. Honestly, once again, like, I don't mind the defeat that much. It happens. It's Bayern Munich. They're on peak form. We know that. We won in Barcelona, so we had a joker in our hand anyway. Yeah, I'll be looking for the news around Hakimi and around Dembele as well, because like this is really what's worrying me most. And I really am crossing every finger in my body that Hakimi is not too bad and that he can make it back in time for the African Cup of Nations. So anyway, this is what I had for you guys. Please leave a like if you've made it this far, even if it's a defeat, like, you know, for me, in appreciation of me coming in after a defeat and still trying to shine a light on it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. Really helps, and we're closing in on 500 subs, so it's super exciting. And I'm counting on everyone's support to get there. Hit the bell as well to get notified on future videos, and let me know in the comments what you thought of the game and if there's anything in the analysis that I missed. And don't forget, in defeat, as always, ici c'est Paris!